Alrighty, it is June 15th, the PFF Forecast. We've got a couple of late breaking things that are going to be an addition here. We're going to do a little Zeke and the coronavirus outbreak news that just broke. But then we're going to review our NFL redraft. We're going to do our best and worst picks, the pick we're most jealous of, the worst pick, and we're just going to go through and read some of the comments because there were some good ones. And then I have a new segment to debut that has to do with Quibi. I think it could be good, especially because you don't watch a lot of TV, so I think it'll be fun. I just saw this come across. I guess I should say, let's rock. Let's do that first. But I just saw this come across the timeline, which is that FanDuel just signed the Denver Broncos to be like a sports betting partner, and they're going to give out like Broncos plus 30 week 1 as their promotion.
Wow.
That's apparently what's happening.
They're buying into Drew Lock, keeping things within 30.
I was gonna say, do you think this is a reaction to the Drew Lock hype, or they were really just keying in on the Denver Broncos?
Man, it's smart for the Denver Broncos. I mean, things are only trending in that direction from a sports world perspective, right? With sports betting and those types of things. So cool.
Yeah, it was Darren Ravel. Said first NFL team to officially sign a sportsbook deal. FanDuel says they're giving new Colorado bettors. So if you're a new bettor in the state of Colorado, you get Broncos plus 30 for week 1, and your max bet is $50. So
that seems like an interest. That's like when people cite like the probability that Brady joins so and so when the limit's like $50.
Right. Well, it's also, and this is a conversation for another time, but like you're almost giving people money. So you're saying, look, I want you to come in for 50. I'm going to give you another 50. Also, you're going to get to feel as though you won, and you're going to get hooked. Like, I don't know. I don't want to dig into that too deeply, but that's how I read those things. That's what they are.
Yeah, no, that's more than fair.
I mean, there's no beating around the bush. It's not like, these stupid sports books are giving away a free pick. It's like, no, they're not. They're know what they're doing.
They're giving you $100 and then or
they're giving you 50, basically,
$95. Yeah. No, I mean, well, the bet's like what, a 99% chance of hitting.
True.
So they're giving you like $95 to bet with.
Yep.
And a reason to sweat that first game. And then chances are you're probably going to buy into the book. You're probably going to reload before week 1 because Denver doesn't play until later. So it's just kind of like kind of a nice little play there. What do you think about the other recent news? I didn't even realize this is 2 hours old, but the news that Houston Texans players and Dallas Cowboys players have tested positive for COVID-19, one of whom appears to be Ezekiel Elliott.
So I heard this, and I knew immediately people were going to get their feathers ruffled. And we have talked about this. I'm not like trying to toot my own horn here, but like this is literally what we talked about from the second coronavirus and the NFL season started to be a topic of conversation. This was going to happen. Like Von Miller already tested positive. Yeah. Brian Allen tested positive a long time ago. Like it should not surprise anyone. This should not surprise absolutely anyone. And the fact that Zeke is one of these players also shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I do think it's not the greatest look. Like I do remember the Zeke going to, I think it was Dak's birthday party, and there clearly wasn't like social distancing going on. And I just know, because I have friends who are younger and I've seen, younger siblings like not taking this as seriously, like that's just going to happen. But this to me is not big news. It shouldn't scare anybody. And if we were in jeopardy of the season not being played because 8 players were going to get it, then we would have canceled it a long time ago because that's just destined to happen. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, the real issue here is that, and, we've talked about this privately. We talked about it a little bit publicly. I mean, it does appear to be it does appear to look like we are just going to deal with the significant either and it's come out this week that picture of that person's lung. I mean, that person survived COVID, so they're not a death, right? But their life is significantly hampered,
Mm-hmm.
And like we're seeing record cases in Florida, we're seeing increases in Houston, and again, like we decided to do this as a country, right? We decided to just forego, we got bored with social distancing. We heard, obviously we wanted to reopen the economy, and this is going to be like the people. That was my biggest issue with reopening the economy, is there's just a number of people that we know and we don't know who just don't think this is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our stance has always been it's real, it's risky. Now I think the death rate is lower because obviously like people who are more at risk are taking it seriously, but the case counts are still growing in places other than New York. And like this is just going to be something like either we as a collective are going to have to deal with it, like just basically say, well, there's a risk of having people get sick and we have to deal with those risks, or we have to shut everything down again. So, this is, as you said, if we weren't going to be able to deal with this, a couple people getting sick and recovering, like we might pack it up until a vaccine's available.
Okay, so this was the one thing that I thought might be actionable from this news, and I'm going to look it up right now. But do you think so? Zeke is a player that is high profile, well above his impact on the actual game, and I think it's interesting. I saw someone today wrote like, anyone drafting in a fantasy league better take Tony Pollard or something like that. Forget who it was, but it was this morning before like the news came out, I believe. And I wonder if people will go, oh my gosh, Zeke might be in jeopardy now. It turns out he's like asymptomatic, so I don't think this will be the case. But looking at this and maybe other situations, do you think, just real quick, like yes or no, any type of advantage to be had from betting teams where people overreact to news like this?
Probably. I mean, the more galaxy brain, I think Kevin said this in one of our chats, was like, I mean, Zeke's going to be if getting coronavirus yields immunity. I mean, like he's actually a value,
right?
Because like he can't. I mean, there's a really good chance he can't get it again, right? So he'd be less likely to be a handcuff than let's say Alvin Kamara or somebody like that. I don't think that the science is definitive on immunity, but I do think that there's a value in fading. So like, let's say, here's where I see a value in fantasy football, for example. Quarterbacks 1 through 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot less value, in my opinion, in quarterbacks 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ceiling associated with some of those guys is the fact that they just don't get hurt. And there's a significant chance that they might not get hurt, but they might get COVID and have to sit out a game or two. In which
Mm-hmm.
case, having the 10th best quarterback on the fantasy football list as opposed to 1 is the marginal value is better. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with running back, same thing. I mean, all these positions where you're buying certainty, there's just less certainty. So you're probably better off in fantasy drafts, for example, picking later on, than picking early. And in sports betting, you're probably better off betting underdogs, especially early in the week, because we don't know by the time Friday comes up who's going to be eligible for every game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The handcuff thing I didn't even think about. Maybe it's the wrong time to take Tony Pollard. All right, let's go over the redraft. So if you tuned in on Thursday, you got to see Josh Hermsmeyer and Evan Silva join myself, you, Timo, and Kevin Cole to redraft the NFL. It was a lot of fun. It took us like 2 hours to get through 2 rounds, but it was well worth it. It was one of the most fun times I have had this offseason. I forgot how much I just loved drafting. Like I would say it's legitimately something I would do just not for a podcast, like just for fun. And right now you can actually go check it out. So if you haven't listened or watched, it's on YouTube. There's a link to the sheet where we're drafting, so you can see where we're at. We're still drafting. We're like midway through round 4. I'm actually up right now. And my team that I'm drafting for is the Bears. I have.
You got a lot of crap from Bears fans.
Yes, I think I've done a tremendous job with the Bears draft. They had pick 19. I took Jameis Winston, which I think is an absolute steal as the 19th most valuable quarterback for the next 5 years. Amari Cooper on the way back, which I also thought was a really nice pick. I took Jeff Okudah in round 3 at pick 83, and now I'm here at pick 110. But let me tell you who I'm thinking between. I am considering going receiver with either DJ Chark or Mecole Hardman. I'm considering going offensive lineman with either Andrew Thomas or Tristan Wirfs. And I'm considering going defensive back with either Juan Thornhill or who's the other one I was considering? Or CJ Henderson. What are your thoughts?
I think for this team, you might need a lineman.
I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Because I don't think Jameis is like of the same ilk as some of these quarterbacks that protect themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, that was very much my thought with an offensive lineman and a tackle. And I think there's a lot of value in drafting from a strong rookie class as opposed to taking, say, Mike McGlinchey, who's younger-ish, but like, you know, was it the 10th pick, has been decent but not great. Like, give me Andrew Thomas, give me Tristan Wirfs, who's 21 and was a better prospect than those guys before him. Do you have thoughts there?
I don't know about rookie linemen, man.
Really?
Yeah, because we've seen with Timo, like the age curve is. So you're basically saying, let's wait a couple of years to be competitive, right? With that.
I mean, my thought is I'm just
same with Okudah.
I'm looking for at least an average lineman. I mean, I don't need him to be great. I just need him to be average. Yeah. That's kind of. I mean,
Thomas is more likely to be average than other tackles. I will say that. It just depends upon. You know,
what's your okay?
Age curves for linemen are not as steep either, so that's a thing to think about as well.
What are your thoughts on Mecole Hardman?
Did he was already selected, right?
Really?
By Kevin.
What are your thoughts on him? Oh my God, Kevin took him in the 3rd round.
I mean, that's a great. Well, I don't know if Mecole Hardman in the 3rd round is a great pick, but I like Mecole Hardman as a player.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know he went that high. All right. Well, you should go check out the sheet. I'll make my pick here shortly. The rest of the draft.
You're gonna reveal it?
No,
right here?
I'm not going to reveal it right here because I want to make sure I don't make a stupid decision. Plus, Josh took like 24 hours to make a pick at Frisco Josh, and we're probably going to talk about him here in a second. So we're going to run through this. If you want to, if you're listening right now and you haven't like just checked out the order, you might want to go check that out real quick. But we'll do a decent job of talking about it. Let's start with this. Your biggest takeaway from this exercise?
My biggest takeaway is that my biggest takeaway is that even though we're analytics people that are very I think that we're less projecty and less upside driven, we still factor in upside a decent amount. I mean, so like Kyler Murray going 5th, that's an upside pick. Joe Burrow going 8th, that's an upside pick. Even Jameis Winston going 19th is an upside pick. Tua at 16th is an upside pick. Josh Allen being drafted at all is an upside pick. And Haskins and Darnold being picked before the first non-quarterback shows that I think people are still willing to sort of take a gamble on a quarterback. And then the non-quarterbacks that we took, like my pick of Chris Godwin is very much a projection pick. He was the best receiver in the NFL last year, but like that's his first year of being that way. Jalen Ramsey, who Kevin Cole took, is another one where he's had some good moments. He's had some bad moments. Derwin James is the same way. Derwin more of an injury thing. But like they're not the most proven players in the world, but they are the players that if you could, their upsides I think are the highest. So that was one thing that I took away that I thought was interesting.
I find it always fascinating when you get just a few different people together, how weird and wacky something can get, even when everyone's background is similar. So, I would say all of us attack football from a super mathematical background. And the way that the people prepared for this, I thought was really interesting. And I thought it came out in the drafting. Like there was just little differences that people had. Kyler Murray, a great example that you brought up. And that always makes this fun. But the big thing that then I took away from this was everyone seemed, for the most part, to be aligned on the importance of age and how much that is when thinking about building for the future. And it reminded me of the importance of the actual NFL draft. Like this is your chance to build a foundation that will last. And it necessitates a player being able to play for a long time, and specifically at the quarterback position. And everyone seemed to value that, really with the exception of, I think it was like Timo, who took all of the old quarterbacks.
I took Drew Brees, which.
Well, that's because you've been sold Advocare protein packs and you felt indebted.
I mean, and
that was another takeaway is if you watched or listened, I thought I had a couple. Look, I always have some jokes that are not funny. I even in the moment think they're not funny, but I had a couple that I thought were good and got nothing out of. Just crickets.
It's anchoring.
Yeah.
Like we just assume they're not funny, and then they aren't, and then
I think people were maybe,
but we just are hard to budge off our prior.
I thought people were so serious. They took the thing so seriously.
Evan took it very serious. Evan prepped a lot, and it shows. He did great.
He did a really good job.
And Josh barely prepped, and then had us all in the moment stun gunned about Jabril Peppers to the point where none of us really dragged him into time.
Let's do worst pick next. Is Jabril Peppers the worst pick of the draft in your mind?
I mean, I like Josh a lot, but yeah, it's such a. The funniest thing, I think the worst pick in the draft was us not being are you sure at the time?
So Jabril Peppers.
But actually, no. Jabril Peppers is not the worst pick in the draft. Quinton Dunbar at 72 picked on the same team when he might be in jail come season time is probably the worst pick, is it not?
I thought both of those were definitely up there. Dunbar happening, 15 picks later makes it a little easier to overlook. The Jabril Peppers one, and Dunbar is at least a good player. So
is Peppers. Peppers doesn't suck.
No, he doesn't suck.
He's not a top 60 player in the league, though.
I thought Jabril Peppers being picked at 57th, and I love Josh as much as anybody. I will stand for that guy. Is like Cleveland Farrell. Even if you love Cleveland Farrell, don't take him at 4. No one else is taking him. Wait 5 rounds and then take him. If you were just doing the NFC East, Jabril Peppers isn't going in the first 2 rounds, much less maybe even the first 4. So that's why I thought it was worse, in my opinion. At least Dunbar, if you're taking all the things off the field out of it, which I don't think Josh is, because he made fun of me for taking Tyreek Hill, maybe under his breath. But I think that's what makes the Peppers pick worse, in my opinion. I had a couple other ones, though, that I thought were pretty questionable, and I want to get your take on them. So I thought that Mark Andrews, just a few picks earlier, at pick 55 by Evan Silva, who I thought overall did a tremendous job. But Mark Andrews at 55 to me was
I think that team has no shot. Carson Wentz, Mark Andrews, and then Grady Jarrett are all good pieces, but not a good team.
It's a little rough. I don't think any of my picks were terrible, but I still feel a little uneasy about Sam Darnold at 25.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel great to me. I thought he was it was him or Dwayne Haskins, and
I don't like your team that doesn't have a quarterback.
Okay, so my team that doesn't have a quarterback went DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Quentin Nelson, Isaiah Simmons. What's not to love? I have athleticism and playmakers.
Well, for one,
field.
Simmons is like Simmons is like the hardest player in the draft to project because of position. So that one is a spec. Like, so
I have Robert Saleh though.
You do? Okay. I guess. I mean, okay.
So it was either going to be Isaiah Simmons or like Gardner Minshew or Drew Lock.
True.
Or Teddy. And I figured I figured hypothetically I could get them in the fifth
Quentin
round.
Nelson in the third round is a lot for a guard, by the way.
Oh no, maybe you didn't see.
I see OT next to him, but like, is
that offensive tackle?
So your team has two really good wide receivers, probably the best pair of wide receivers in the league, and then two guys that are playing positions that we're not quite sure that they can play at the NFL level. That's a tricky team.
I think Quentin Nelson was the best tackle available.
Okay.
At that time,
I still think it's a projection in the third round.
Agree. Okay, I also think that Colin Kaepernick picked ahead of Drew Lock and Gardner Minshew and Teddy Bridgewater is a complete.
I also think that team is going to be butt. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey, which is like a big projection. Not a big projection, but a projection.
What's your
George
worst
Kittle's
team?
Fine. Not the best tight end in the league, but he's
We
fine.
just talked about my worst team, which is the Niners at 31 with Hopkins, Hill, Nelson, and Simmons. I'll wholeheartedly agree with that. I don't think it's great. What's the team that you drafted that you are least proud of?
Well, okay. I will wholeheartedly sit behind my Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, Derek Carr, Anthony Harris team.
Okay.
I kind of like that one. I like Tannehill, Julio, Byard, Debo. That's a good team. This one's not complete, so we still need to know the returns. But I don't like the Jaguars, my Aaron Rodgers, Tyrann Mathieu, David Bakhtiari team, because I don't have a wide receiver yet. We'll see what I get at 120 in 3 days. But that will.
I agree. I think that one is. I'm gonna go with the Godwin team though. Godwin and Kelce and Carr and Harris, just because like I don't know that any of those guys I'm that excited about.
Here's the thing I don't get. What is bad? What I can see liking a receiver more than Chris Godwin. I can see that. I can totally see that. However, where is Chris Godwin's weakness as a player?
Well, I would say the problem is not that he doesn't have a weakness. It's that I don't know if he really has that much of a strength anywhere.
But he was second in the league in receiving yards last year.
I get it.
He was fourth in yards per target while also catching 71% of his passes thrown his way. He's ascending. He's only 23 years old. He plays inside. He plays outside.
He also played with a quarterback who was going to give him more opportunities to make those plays and have those yardage totals than anyone else in the league, and had the benefit of being the second option in the defense's mind on the Bucs. Like Mike Evans is a guy that
But he earned more targets than Evans in like the same number of games-ish.
Right. That's kind of my point. That is that he's a very good receiver, but the other team was going to do everything they could to take away Mike Evans versus Chris Godwin. And I believe he would have been there for you at pick 38 pretty easily.
So should I have taken Kelce at 27, given he's the best tight end in football? Like I don't know. If you take blocking out of the equation, I do think Kelce's as good as Kittle, but you can't take blocking out of the equation.
He's also older.
He's also older.
Okay. What was your favorite pick?
Well, okay. And again, not to try to bag on Josh, but Russell Wilson at pick 3 is the steal of the draft.
Yeah. That was really interesting. He took Lamar Jackson at number 2.
Which I get. I get Lamar. I understand that he gives you a dimension that's different, right? Like none of us are going to pick runners in this thing, except for maybe Evan. But like Lamar gives you a runner. But is it worth the second pick? Like that's like, to me, I think just a tough one.
There's way more unknown with Lamar Jackson, in my opinion. I agree with you. I thought that was a really smart and shrewd move.
Well, it wasn't smart. It just fell into my lap.
Well, right, but you still had to make the pick.
Right.
For me, my favorite pick that I made, aside from Mahomes at 1, which I was pretty excited about. I don't know. I think Jameis at 19, it gets a lot of guff, but like if you look at the players taken after him, Cam Newton, Ryan Tannehill, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers, Sam Darnold, like Jameis to me has by far the highest floor and ceiling of those players, and I think that would surprise people quite a bit.
All right, let me find a good Josh Hermsmeyer pick. I actually like Burrow at 8. I don't hate it at all.
Yes. I really thought Burrow at 8, ahead of Rodgers, ahead of Wentz, ahead of Mayfield. I would have taken Burrow, I think, ahead of Murray.
I would have too. I think he gets a good value there.
Yep.
I also like his team that has a lot of potential is the Haskins, Galladay, Mack, Parker team. I don't know. I'm writing an article about strength of schedule today. Parker's got one of the toughest in the league this year, but Kenny Galladay is, I think, every bit as deserving to be picked at 39 as he is.
He's really good. No, he's really good. What did you think of so I thought Garoppolo at 13 was interesting. I thought I'd catch more flack for it. Cousins, Breeze, Tua, Goff, Brady, and Winston were all on the board. I thought people would make more fun of me.
Garoppolo's got a really easy schedule this year of opposing passing defense.
It was either him, Cousins, or Tua. I wasn't going to take one of the old guys. I think
Goff. Goff's in the same category as Garoppolo?
No, he's not.
Not appearance wise, and not gumption wise, and all that stuff. But he's literally the second to last NFC quarterback to take his team to the Super Bowl.
Team to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a clear difference between Garoppolo and Goff.
Well, see, this is where we're going. I'm all on board with Jimmy G as a dude and being the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I'm happy for them. I think they got a good one, all this kind of stuff. But if you're going to give Garoppolo, the benefit of the doubt, you have to kind of give, because I don't think McVay is nearly as good as Shanahan.
Agree.
I think the support for the Rams in 18 was better than the support for Garoppolo in 19, but I think it's close. And Goff produced, especially in the first 12 games of 2018, better than Jimmy G did.
Okay. My counterpoint would be that Jimmy G was playing in his sixth and seventh games all time, coming off of an ACL with receivers at that point that were absolute nobodies. I mean, absolute nobodies. And the defense was just drilling people. What we saw in that down the stretch, in that New Orleans game in particular, Jimmy G has stones that Jared Goff, and I actually really like Jared Goff, that Jared Goff just doesn't have, that Kirk Cousins does not have. And Tua's too big of a question mark. So, look, I surrounded him with some playmakers. Terry McLaurin, I thought actually 52 was a super nice pick. I think they'll be a dynamic duo. I look forward to seeing Jimmy G play well in games that he needs to play well in, with a supporting cast that's a little more firmed up. I'm still concerned.
Did you know that Jared Goff led the NFL in passing attempts last year?
Doesn't surprise me. They were not a great team.
It's an interesting one. They sort of
I would be super worried.
He averaged a yard less per pass attempt at 19 than he did in 18. That's so interesting. How his fall from grace has been precipitous.
They have no quick passing game, and I've heard different reasons why that might be, that McVay doesn't think that's Goff's strength and he doesn't want to leverage, doesn't want to take him away from using his strengths. But I don't know. Pat Mahomes' strength is throwing the ball on a line from the opposite hash downfield, 60 yards. It doesn't mean you do that every single play.
As we close this out, I want to give you a couple of my favorite teams from specific people. I thought Timo's best team was the Raiders. Stafford, Marlon Humphrey, and Cortland Sutton. All three of those players, there is a very good chance that they are among the top 2 or 3 at their position in a given season.
That was one of okay.
Stafford could be could be an MVP candidate if he would have played last season or a whole season like he played for parts of last season. I think the conversation's a lot different. Marlon Humphrey's in the conversation to be the best corner in the NFL, and Cortland Sutton's catching passes from Brandon Allen, and he's dominating. So that was a great draft, in my opinion. I think Kevin, when I look at Kevin's drafts, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong. The one where he drafted Murray, maybe he reached on Murray, but he got Jamal Adams at 60, and then Ryan Ramczyk, one of the best tackles in football, in the 3rd round. That one's still to be completed, but I think that was a great draft. Silva's interesting because he basically threw away a team by trying to make them the Bills. but I like really like the Metcalf Watson Bosa team for him.
That was I had on here picks we were most jealous of, and I thought Silva's Watson Metcalf Bosa team was maybe the one I was most jealous of. I really liked it. I also thought Burrow, as soon as Burrow went at 8, I wish I'd taken him at 7.
Right.
Of course, then Peppers gets taken. So like that team, I mean, the funny thing is if Burrow's a top 3 quarterback, he's Russell Wilson, like it doesn't matter. But I really liked that one.
He's trying to shoot the moon in football, maybe.
I really liked Cam Newton at 20. Like that was another big takeaway of mine, was just that like Cam Newton should be given an opportunity to start in this league, and it's ridiculous that he has not. I kind of liked Kevin's Ramsey Kittle team until he went with quarterback in Kaepernick at 93, and then Hunter at 100. I thought those were a little bit of reaches, but I don't know. It was a super fun exercise. I really enjoyed it. And I actually think my favorite team that you have, the one I'm most jealous of, is Russell Wilson, Robert Woods, and Byron Jones.
Robert Woods is a great pick. I feel like at the time I was very proud of it.
I think so. All right, should we read some mean tweets here?
Okay.
All right, the first mean tweet comes from our friend Brad at Over the Cap. Says, live mean tweet, please finish up round 4 so I can put some scathing GM reviews on here. Looking at you, Frisco Josh, because Josh took like 24 hours to make his pick. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll through the list. There's someone that immediately said there can't be a GM in football who would take Lamar over Russell. What do you think? Yes or no?
Oh, I think there is. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Russell Wilson was going to be traded to the Browns 2 years ago. These things yo-yo, right? People anchor.
PFF writers are either funnier or dumber than I thought.
Nice.
I don't know.
Why not both?
Yeah, that's a good point. Someone with like 40 crying face emojis. This is a joke. Man, I thought these were crueler.
Yeah, they're just people who are not.
I would say
creative.
I would say I haven't read one that's been positive though. So like I'm on like comment number 100, and the comment number 100 is you just lit Philadelphia on fire. I haven't seen one person go, wow, I liked this draft. Everyone is negative. Chris Godwin is the first non-QB drafted.
My opinion. So Cole Frankel posting on the YouTube. I think we get more. My opinions: worst drafter, Josh. Second worst drafter, Eric. I think best draft, hard to say. I think maybe Kevin or Evan, and then Timo and George in the middle. Enjoyed watching you though. A lot of interesting stuff. So look, I'm the second worst to Josh, and hence some co-laboring with him here in the mean tweets. This is one that I thought was really interesting.
This is terrible. Go ahead.
Kirk Yearwood. I know these guys pushes QBs above all, but after the top tier QBs, how do you justify Tua, Tannehill, Winston, Jimmy G over some of the elite defensive and wide receiver talent in the league? It's just laughable. After Cousins, the Myles Garretts, the young elite corners and left tackles have to come into contention. I know they try to prove a point, but this is pathetic. I actually, my response to this would be like Tannehill is worth 2 wins above replacement last year, which is twice as much as the next.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think people quite get that. And like, and the other thing with some of the young, like Tua, Tannehill, and Winston, and even Jimmy G have the potential to be top 10 quarterbacks by the time all of these guys retire. And having one of those, especially if we're salary cap neutral, is the right move. And, you know, obviously this guy hasn't read much. Right? It's certainly more than offensive linemen. I mean, I can see elite. I mean, I took the first wide receiver. I can see wide receivers and defensive backs, but not the linemen in this case.
Okay. We're going to try this this segment out. I have no idea how it's going to go.
Okay.
So you can tune out now if you don't want to hear me make a fool of myself for the second straight segment. I am going to read you a show name, and you're going to tell me whether I made it up or if this is an actual show on Quibi, which is basically the Fyre Fest. I think I tweeted this out like a month ago. It's the Fyre Fest of
Quibi is losing an impressive amount of money.
Holy shit. All right, here we go. The first one that I have for you is it's called Barkitecture, and it's building dog houses.
That's a Quibi video. That's a fucking Quibi video.
This is an actual show. I can't understand how they're failing right now. Dear God, help us all. All right, next one.
They missed that part of the Tim Ferriss podcast where the guy says you got to find people's weird kinks. They just went and found too weird of kinks.
All right, the next one is called Blue Balled, and it's a like short documentary on Viagra.
Oh, that's fake.
Yeah, but there is a show called Blackballed.
Gotcha.
Damn,
I figured Blue Ball was just like getting like shot down in a bar, like repeatedly, like 6-minute segments of that.
Yeah.
That would sell. That would
do really
well.
well.
The money you have left over, give me a finder's fee, please.
We've already made a better show than they have. This is a show called Agua Donkeys.
That's fake.
No, it's a real show.
What is Agua Donkeys? What are they doing? Are they like donkeys swimming in water? Like,
what's standing between MP, Jer, and the one true love of their life, Jackie? Nothing, except for 6 sunset kneeboarding sessions, synchronized rooftop gainers, and their boss, Rod. All episodes streaming now.
It's over.
Help us all.
Just pack it in. Society's done.
All right.
Good thing it didn't work out.
I've got a couple more. This show is called Cup of Joe, and it's literally celebrities just drinking coffee.
That's fake.
No, it's true. Joe Jonas hosts it. He tours the world as a pop star, and now he's ready to explore.
How is that different than comedians in cars getting coffee, other than shorter?
There's actually no coffee involved. I made that up completely. It's just Joe Jonas traveling the world.
Oh, funny. It didn't work.
Yeah. It's Joe Jonas living his life on tour. It didn't work. And I've got one more for you. Let me see. Which one do I want to pick here? Because I don't know if, I should give you one that I've made up or one that is real. Okay.
I kind of want to hear the real ones.
All right. Real or fake? A show called Kirby Jenner about a fake member of the Keeping Up with the Kardashians show.
That's actually a good idea as a troll job. So Quibi, it certainly isn't a Quibi show then.
No, it is. And this may be their best show. I haven't watched it yet, but it sounds great to me.
Okay.
I'll reach you a couple.
That wasn't the worst. That wasn't the worst segment we've ever had. It wasn't the best.
It wasn't the best.
We got some laughs in.
Definitely wasn't the worst. Tyler just said he liked it. He threw us a Variety article that Quibi is on pace to hit less than 30% of their 1-year paid subscriber goal. Yeah, not great. You know what this has taught me? The Quibi thing taught me it does not matter how much money you pour into something. Like if the content is not good, if you go into it with money and no content ideas, you could be in real trouble.
Yeah, enough about Jay Cutler though.
There's a reason that you write the movie before you pay for it to be made. All All right, that was our show. I hope you liked our new segment. Maybe we'll run it back next time. And by the way, shout out to my sister she's supposed to get out today. She's not. She's hanging tough, though. Thinking about you. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace out.